We're here with Etzion and Lutfier and friends for another hour or so of sharing. Etzion has something special actually for us today. Another video, as you will see, of Carrie Ben Shammai. This is what June 14th today. Jay
Okay.
Baba.
Jay Baba. So what's going to be, you know, I have to start it, just a minute. I wanted to start with a musical piece.
Sure. Oh, a musical piece. So is this your orchestra that you play with? Is that right?
Just a minute.
Okay.
Where are we again? What is this musical piece? I have to share sound and optimize it. Okay. Now this is an Israeli piece from the 80s. It was written, performed by one of our best Israeli performers, Mati Kaspi and Shlomi Gornich. Shlomi Gornich, you don't know them, they are very well known in Israel. Do you hear it? Do you hear it?
Yeah.
You hear it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you with me, folks? I will share with you the same piece.
That was short.
Piece.
That was short.
No, it was an intro. This is the original piece written by the 80s by our top jazz and rock musicians in Israel. And now the same piece, which my band performed 6 years ago, and I was playing the bassoon, and you will be able to see me there. Hope you enjoyed it.
That conductor is a dancer.
This conductor was not the original conductor of the band. He is a guest conductor, and he's a boy. He's in his 20s, and he wrote the script of this piece for a wind band. That's quite an achievement. Not everybody can do such a thing. And we performed. You heard the top professionals since the beginning. We'll let you hear. In our band, who is better? It's hard to tell, huh? And
Wow.
this band is non-professionals. Some of us there were real professionals. I'm not a professional, but playing the bassoon, nobody knows anyway what I'm doing. That's the idea with the bassoon. Every conductor, it's rare to have a bassoon. So every conductor wants to have a bassoon. And the conductor knew, of course, he didn't make me any audition when I joined the band because this kind of bands are for any person who is capable of reading notes and playing a little bit. And if you're not too bad, they let you be and you advance slowly. And this is what happened to me. And also I learned right from the beginning how to mesh. When I don't know how to play, I simply don't play or I fake notes or I improvise. They don't know, they cannot tell. If I stay on the scale and the rhythm, actually almost nobody knows what I'm doing. And only when we have the bassoon as a solo, we have this is the solo, then you really have to play it very well. So now, if you don't mind, we'll share the video of Curry Ben Shammai.
Beautiful.
Okay,
That's exciting.
let's see, where is it now? Where is it? Where is it? Didn't prepare it in advance. We will. No, it is not this one. This one you heard already. Where is I thought I prepared it. Find it. I'll figure it out just a minute. I have to get out of here. I have to open the website. Why I didn't prepare it in advance? I thought to prepare it in advance, but I didn't do it. So that's what it is.
Baba. So Baba help. Baba.
No, I'll figure it out. It's no problem. I thought I prepared the link already in advance.
Oh, Baba. Help Etzion. Fine.
He does.
I
He's
know.
very,
He does. That's right.
here the website is coming. It's not this one. This one. The question if you see it, you hear it?
Not yet.
Do you see it? You hear it?
Not yet.
You see the video?
Nope.
Doesn't mean I didn't share it properly. Where is it here? Don't see it here. Strange. Why I don't see the video? Try again, just a minute. Sometimes
Do you see it on your desktop? Your screen? Do you see it
US?
on, do you see it on your own screen? I know you know how to do it.
I don't know why I don't see it on the share screen.
Do you have to select? There it is.
The
There
Far
it is.
Eastern teachings were by far more profound and
You see it now?
Yes.
satisfactory.
Can
So
you start again?
secretly, I'm born of German Jewish parents, and my father was a well-known public figure representing World Orthodox Jewry. And I very early discovered that though I had been always going with him to the temple 3 times a day, fervently praying with him, that I could not entirely be satisfied in going the way of my father's so-called religion. And very early I started to occupy myself with the Western philosophers, and soon discovered that the Far Eastern teachings were by far more profound and satisfactory. So secretly studying the Far Eastern teachings of the Hindu religion, Vedanta, Veda, and Upanishads, and getting into contact with some Persian teachings. I one day left the house in the hope of coming to India, wanting to live the life of yoga, of a yogi. Not only theoretically participating in it. So my way led me towards Egypt. I lived there in great spiritual isolation among the Arabs, and nobody heard of me, but I was looking for the master unconsciously, though I thought I was only interested in the eternal truth, without personal contact with the master. But I did not succeed then in meeting the master. I returned again after 8 years of stay in Egypt, in utter spiritual isolation, to Israel, and married there, but always keeping on the search, and came into contact with Lao Tzu, the Chinese sage who lived about 4,000 years ago. I was very much impressed by his teachings, and then came across Christian Science. I came across Zen Buddhism, and I knew about the teachings that every living creature has one day to meet his master on the Earth planet. I had met him in books, but not in persons, and I often wondered about it. In spite of my continuous endeavors and longing to live the life of a yogi in India, I did not succeed then. But one day, through a strange incident, my husband won a lottery, which was imposed on him by the government. And because we never had any money, he hadn't seen his parents in the States for 25 years, because he came to Israel directly whilst they went to the States. So he wanted to use that money for coming to the States to see his family, and I stated that I would want to come in order to meet my master from Persia, India, without actually knowing what it was all about. So we left together, and as soon as I was free, I had been treating some sick people there. I contacted some yoga and yogi societies. I sat with the Zen Buddhists in meditations. I was going home by subway at night, whilst my husband was asleep at home, wondering what he was leading me to. Then, one day, I heard by an acquaintance that a master from India was coming for 4 days to New York. And among the 10 million city of New York people, I was the only Israeli who was led into the living presence of our beloved master, who forever now has consciously brought me into his eternal contact. The first moment, as I had reported before, at another occasion, when I came into the living presence of Baba and you, I had found my master, the master of life. And later on, they asked Baba, how is it that during those 4 days of your being in the States, in New York, and Carrie having just arrived for the first time in her life in the States, that she was brought into your presence among the mass of Americans. So Baba answered through Mani, his sister, the ways of the masters are wonderful. If he sees a soul being ready to be contacted, he has all the means at his disposal to bring this soul towards him. So at that very moment when Baba had arrived in New York, Carrie from Israel had left Jerusalem to meet him, whilst my husband was not ready to wait and had to return and wanted to return to Israel. I had heard of Baba's coming about 2.5 months before, immediately contacting the source of his writings, finding the Winterfelds, deciding on the discourses first, taking a little room somewhere, retiring entirely from the outside world. I experienced the discourses, being utterly shocked by its perfection and beauty. Day and night preparing myself for that only divine meeting, introducing. So actually, when I had the grace of having come into the living contact of the Master, which I had never dreamed in my keenest dreams, there had not been a moment of separation ever since. Up to this very moment, I had, as Baba told me later, entered his innermost heart. And he had entered my innermost heart. And there was nothing else to it but to keep it up. I remember when I sat before Baba for the first time at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, the only Israeli, I decided to be just like a child, forgetting everything else I'd ever learned, endeavoring to make my mind blank and my heart empty, and so Baba could work in it. Now, in addition, an extraordinary thing happened. There was my sister who had been sick in a mental hospital, and they'd shut her in a few days before because she was so noisy, and I had wanted to bring her out, to bring her before Baba, but they wouldn't let her. The very day I had had an appointment with Baba for her and for myself, I had a telephone call. I was allowed to take her out before Baba. Well, her husband, who is also very orthodox, came along but didn't come in. But my sister did, and we brought her before Baba, and he patted her on her shoulder and he looked at me and he said, "She'll be all right." And I believe the next day they sent her home after she had been there for quite a long time. But she unfortunately never recognized Baba, and she made a point of telling me at every opportunity that she would never recognize Baba, as did none of my nearest so-called family in physics. But Baba had told me at the time when I had told you at the film audition that I should go straight back to Israel, and that Baba's apostle at the time of Christ were being stoned. Baba had told me, "Carrie, no matter what I will do to you, I shall stand by you at any time." And he repeated it, "No matter what I shall do to you, I shall stand by you." Now, then the extraordinary thing happened. You see, I had known I was going to remain without my husband in the state, and I wasn't allowed to work. I had no money anymore, and I had waited already 2.5 months for Baba, just a bit of money having been left. And I was terrifically sad. I thought my heart was breaking. They were all now going on to Myrtle Beach. They knew they had prepared themselves, financially and otherwise, for going with Baba. But I was supposed now to remain behind after having met at last my master. So standing in great sadness among the people, and so
This picture made me Baba realized.
Oh, can you show it again? Can you back up a little bit?
could work in it. And as Baba told me later, entered his innermost heart. And he had entered my innermost heart. And there was nothing else to it but to keep it up. I remember when I sat before Baba for the first time at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, the only Israeli, I decided to be just like a child, forgetting everything else I'd ever learned, endeavoring to make my mind blank and my heart empty, and so Baba could work in it. Now, in addition, an extraordinary thing happened. There was my sister who had been sick in a mental hospital, and I didn't come in. But my sister did, and we brought her before Baba, and he patted her on her shoulder and he looked at me and he said, "She'll be all right." And I believe the next day they sent her home. He told me at the time when I had told you at the film audition that I should go straight back to Israel, and great sadness
This is a very picture that made me Baba.
among the people who were preparing themselves to go with Baba. Suddenly somebody pats me on my shoulder, it was a lady of the airport telling me that I had been invited by Baba to come along in his own plane to Myrtle Beach. Baba had been contacting some American Baba lovers, telling them to see to it that Carrie was coming along to Myrtle Beach. Then when I told my sister that I could not attend to her now at home, she was making an extreme fuss. But it didn't matter. I explained to her that I had to go. And so I flew with Baba on my first flight on this Earth plane and came with him to Myrtle Beach, where I had explained what extraordinary things had been happening, that the top of the trees and the frogs in the water and anywhere and everywhere they were calling out Baba, Baba. And whenever I had a wish, the slightest wish was fulfilled to me. I had a wish to see one of the mandali. There he stood in front of me. I sought to speak to Kitty. There she was. All I needed was to think of Baba. So other things I recorded already on the other recorder. But I wanted to report something which is also very interesting. When Baba led us through the woods towards the sea, I was always running as close as possible behind Baba as far as Harry Kenmon would let me, and suddenly found myself down the sea alone, walking directly in the footsteps of my newly found master on this planet. It was extraordinary, symbolic, actually walking in his footsteps. Then Baba told us to look for the most beautiful shells at the beach to bring home to Mera. But I was so shocked and was only thinking of Baba and was still trying to find, and found some very strange shells, 2 shells. But I couldn't wait any longer, and I ran to Baba and showed him the shells. And Baba looked at it and said, through, I think it was one of the American disciples, very interesting, very original. So I simply sat down next to Baba, and there was an American disciple also sitting with Baba, and was very surprised how naturally I sat down next to my father. And then I felt, after all my wandering on this Earth planet, the first day of my birth, because we had been suffering a lot at home through many conditions with those 9 sisters and brother, and the mother not having the strength to influence, and my father being a public man, finding, nevertheless, realizing even as a little girl that there must be reincarnation, never doubting it, and so understanding the ancient saying that every living creature must meet once in his lifetime his master. But having been always isolated in the West, in my extraordinary Oriental nature, there was another fact, that in all my prayers, in my postures, in my dancing, I was absolutely Oriental, particularly Indian. I'd never seen Indian dancing, and I danced them all on my own, and decided never to dance except my master allowing me to dance before him, even it should be at the moment when I was dropping my body. Now, the extraordinary things happened. I will mention again that Baba did fulfill the desire of mine in '69, when he suddenly made me dance. First in Pune, without my having known about it. Rama Krishnan later wrote to me, Carrie, you didn't even know that you were dancing. Then later on, Mani and Mera desiring for me to dance was more for Baba before them. So I naturally combined it with song, dance, and speech, all creative, newly created. Through the grace of Baba, there hasn't been a moment, and there isn't a moment of breath of interruption, of inner contact with Baba. No matter whether Baba dropped his earthly frame, there Baba works in our hearts, day and night. And so it will be at the end of the days, creating an indestructible bond between all creatures on different levels of evolution, and particularly, of course, among our human sisters and brothers. When Baba had told me, after I had been with him in Myrtle Beach, of which happenings I had been telling at another occasion, Baba said to me, go straight back to Israel and there spread my message of love. Since I had recognized him as my master, there was no questioning or fulfilling his very wish. Though I had only just arrived for a short time ago in the States, I packed my things and off I went, knowing that Baba was sending me into worse than a desert island regarding Israel, where there was intellectualism and nationalism and Zionism. But it was Baba with me, and ever since. Now, regarding happenings with Baba, whilst I was with him, there were continual things happening in inner contact. Baba always said, I do not know about it, it's your own capacity of receiving.
Wow. Beautiful. Wow. Etzion, which video was earliest? Was it this one, the first? And then came the color with
I
her
don't know. I don't know. The same year, 1971, and this is also Curry Flat, and this is quite extraordinary that he decided to focus on the picture. That a year later, I looked at it, and this very same picture on the wall of Curry in the Baba. I was looking at this very picture and became Baba-realized instantly. Unbelievable. Crazy, I'm telling you.
Baba knew. Baba knew.
It's insane. Is the ways all these impossible coincidences, even in such a film. I felt myself inside the whole thing. You see, I felt connected. You see, if she wouldn't obey Baba, I would never come to him. He would never come to me. I didn't come to him.
Yeah.
He came to me. What do I know? Nothing. Just the same what he did to her and many others.
To
I
me,
didn't think.
she looked quite different in this film, the black and white film. She
It
looked.
is quite incredible. She looks very much so like her complexion is Indian. She looks very Oriental. Her complexion, you can see that she's an Oriental person. Also, I feel myself more Oriental than Occidental, Western.
With your red hair. Yeah, you look real Oriental.
No, as soon as I enter India, I start, my head is moving like the Indians. Immediately when I enter India, I start to behave automatically like an Indian. It happened to me many times. Immediately I mesh into the mentality of the Indian mind. Very funny. As I learn to mesh into the Arabic mind, which I have been doing the past 40 years. I really get into their minds and hearts almost right away, without any barrier. I found 40 years I've been sharing with what you call the Arabic community on a daily basis. I'm dealing with Arabs. Working in a place, and the team are mostly Arabs, and we get along wonderfully well. We are very happy to be together. And just think, hell is breaking loose all over the place, and here there's a team of workers, so-called Israelis, so-called Arabs, getting very well together. Nothing from these nasty vibes is coming inside. We don't discuss the situation, don't talk about this. We just do our job, and we smile at each other, and we are in good terms, and that's it, and that's the way it should be. And this is part of my long training with Barbara, how to deal with people. I didn't know how to do it, of course, to handle the people like this before he came to me. And he gave me the necessary training how to deal with human beings. That all of them are his children. We are all one. Before he came to me, I didn't have any clue whatsoever about this. I was just a guy like from the street, and the Arabs were my enemy, and they wanted to kill us and destroy us. And when he came to me, everything changed totally. The whole outlook, the whole attitude, how to, especially when he started to teach me how to erase some scars from 1976. You see, I came to him 72, and by 1976, he started to give me a massive tutoring how to erase some scars. Of course, we cannot erase some scars. He had to give it to me. That's the whole point. I had to keep learning how to give it to him, and it's on my website. You can see on the Meir Baba Israel site, heart realm maintenance. Maybe we should read it one day. Or maybe you want to get to my website. Hi, Yui, how are you doing?
Fine.
You just missed a wonderful film of Kerry Ben Shammai.
It's a very unique film of Carrie.
It's on my website. You can enter my website and watch it if you're interested.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Etzion, she to me looked very different. She looked than the other film, where she was the color film, where her face was shining. She had obviously, maybe a little oil on her face and maybe even a little makeup. She looked very bright, the first film that we saw. Whereas this one, she looked tired to me. She looked not so, maybe because it was black and white, but it was more than that, I think. It made me think it was two separate occasions, two different times.
But at the same time, the Luck brothers came to Jerusalem.
Yeah,
I don't think they came, unless they came twice. Because
Maybe.
I will ask Erwin about this.
Oh, that's a good
If he
question.
if he can remember the occasion taking these two films, because one is black and white, one is color. So maybe he kept two video cameras with him, one colored and one black and white. As I suspect the colored should be much more expensive. I don't know, because he shot many videos of Baba lovers all over the world in black and white. The whole series which he proposed quite a few years ago, he proposed to the Baba world to purchase the videos which he took of through their excursions or trips around the world, taking videos of people who knew Meir Baba. So we are very thankful for this work. It's extraordinary. Amazing work.
His first camera was a reel-to-reel, very strange device, and it could only do black and white.
But we have a film that he took of Kerry Ben Shammai with a colored film. It's also on our website.
Yeah, he used film, actual film. If he used actual film, then color was possible. But in the very first days, what I saw him with, because he asked me to help him with it, it was just a video recorder, So the film should be much better.
The
Yeah,
second
the,
color. Yeah,
the
what-
film is much better than what we don't know if he came with two cameras or there are two separate occasions. Maybe he came twice to Jerusalem.
Yeah, indeed. He may have upgraded.
Yeah,
He
but
should-
this both of them, it's written 1971. So maybe during that year, he was traveling around the world. Maybe his flight brought him back from the Far East back to Israel, and from Israel maybe he flew to Europe. I didn't discuss it with him. So maybe I should email him asking for more details
Yeah.
how these films were taken for the record. And while I'm listening to these films, I bring things together for my memory. Oy vey.
I'm so
The
glad
rat-
he had the inspiration to show that photo that on her wall. That was Baba, clearly, that
This is,
moment.
yeah, that I was really struck now. I
Yeah.
saw it now after many years. I didn't watch it, and I was taken aback by this. Amazing. Just this one. There were so many photos hanging on the wall. The walls. It was a very tiny room, and maybe he put her under umbrella. So we have some ugly creature running around here, a rat. We are outside in the garden. We have all kinds of things running around. Never mind. And Baba's waves are always amazing. So each time you feel that he forgot about you, then he turns his key and he reminds you, I'm very much present. So all kinds of incredible moves. Do we still have time, or you is taking over now? I don't hear you. You're muted.
20 minutes. You have about 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
I'm gonna have to, I'll leave it, I have to step away and deal with that. My daughter's here, so I need to go talk to her and I'll come back, okay?
Okay. So what I'm going to present on my website, there is a short video of Carrie's father.
Betty, let me, Betty,
Yes.
because I have to go and do physical therapy with my brother, I would like you to be like a co-host so that you're there in case our internet goes bad like it did one time and I lost connection.
Okay,
So stay as co-host and manage if something gets lost.
okay, sure.
Okay.
Okay. I just need to leave for a minute or two. I'll be back.
No, me too. I'm getting ready to. Jeannie's coming on.
And you're okay. You're leaving to what, to the hospital with your
Uh,
brother?
yeah, I will go to hospital at 11:30 right at the beginning. So right now I'm setting it up so Jeannie can do things. So
Okay.
excuse me, Etienne.
You're welcome. That's okay. Risson Scarazone, as I used to call it.
Yeah, I've got brothers and scars today. I got this.
Okay, enjoy it. Let me take advantage of this and we look for another piece. Just a minute. Let's see what I can do here. Why my website went down, I don't know. Okay, I'll bring it back. Just a minute. I'll share the screen. Let's see what I will succeed to do. Do you see the pictures?
Yeah. This is Carrie's father.
These are pictures of Kerry Ben Shammai from the archive of my website. Pictures. This is from these pictures on top. 1956 Myrtle Beach. This is Myrtle Beach. This is Myrtle Beach. This is the last Darshan, 69. I received this photo especially from one of the Bible lovers in Australia. They sent it to me.
Wow.
This picture is the father of Kerry. This one is the father of Kerry.
Mhm. And where's the one of Carrie? There's Carrie. There she is.
This is a first meeting with Baba, with Delmonico Hotel. You see, Baba is pointing his finger to the candle because Kerry, you see, all this is a Winterfeld, presumably.
Oh, it's Harry Kenmore, the blind.
Okay, sorry, Henry. This is not the Winterfeld. I'm not sure about this, but she was falling into the candles. She's not looking properly. She actually was being dazed. And this is Kerry's father, a very distinguished and respectable person. And this is his last picture of Kerry and her father in Israel. This picture, here is Kerry,
Oh,
and this is the father and the family, Orthodox family, very special, very unique human beings. Her father was an extraordinary human being. He, for example, 1935, he went to convene with the Pope as what to do with Hitler. And the agent of the Gestapo in the hotel in Rome discovered that he was meeting with the Pope, and he delivered the information to the Gestapo. And when Rabbi Rosenheim, this is Rabbi Rosenheim, he came back to Germany, an SS officer who was a friend of the family came and warned him that he has to flee Germany at that night, otherwise he's going to a concentration camp for treason, something like this. Till 36, till 38 Jews could have escaped Germany.
did
But
did he go?
he ran away in 1935. He was a wealthy man. He had a business. He had a printing press. He was associated. His mother was working with the Bank of Rothschild. As a youth, he was working in the bank. If you heard about Rothschild, one of the richest persons, definitely in the Jewish world, maybe in the world. They were very wealthy. Just today, I heard the story how he came to be so rich. Incredible story. This is true of Myrtle Beach. This is a video. And if you see what I see, a very rare footage where we can see Kerry's father. You see this?
Oh, it's filmed. Oh, okay.
This is Kerry's father. Extremely rare video. It's a
Where?
conference in most likely East Europe or Germany.
Oh,
It's the Orthodox party of Judaism made a meeting with or against Zionist meetings to resettle Israel. They were against going back to Israel.
they were against going back. They didn't think people should migrate to Israel? What do you mean going back? Oh,
It's a very sad story indeed, that in the 30s and early 30s, people could have, Hitler was rising. You read Mein Kampf, you see the whole atmosphere. You had the Crystal Nacht, and they were burning the books, and it was an extremely severe anti-Jewish, and not only anti-Jewish, anti-communist, anti-everything which is not according to the National Party, supposedly. And then they started to arrest and exterminate the opposition. And still you had time to pack and go, but you would sell all your property, which you
Who was arresting? The Germans were arresting? Who was arresting the opposition? This is are you talking about in Germany? Oopsie, you're muted.
Oh, I'm back.
Yes.
After I showed this film, automatically it started to project another film from the YouTube automatically, and I forgot about this and didn't stop it. So this is what happened.
We
Never
didn't,
mind. We are okay.
but
We heard
you said it was a sad story, you said, and what you said they were
the
arresting.
people. See, my folks remained in East Europe.
Uh,
The property, we had the private property of my family of the size of Meirabat. They bought it, they had it private property for hundreds of years, either between 400 to 600 years. You cannot just leave it and go away. That's a tragedy. You don't know what to do. And they lived in a town in East Europe, constantly being harassed and persecuted by the neighbors. And when the German came, 1941, our neighbors from that town came rushing to help the Germans to kill the Jews and loot their property, of course. There were what we call Lithuanian white Russians. This is today, the village is in Belarus. The village was in a small place next to Vilnius, which I think is the capital of Latvia. And that section kept on shifting hands between the countries. When my folks lived there, it was Poland, and now it is Belarus. And it was under Latvia, presumably before World War I or something like this. The borders were kept on shifting due to the constant pressures of the powers in Europe. There never was a day of rest in Europe till 1947, when the war was over. The war was over not 1945, 1947. Only then the war came to an end. That's a different story. And since then, in Europe, the past 10,000 years, only from 1947 till now, we had a few years of relative peace. Once we had the war in the Balkans, and now we have a nice, serious war in Ukraine. I heard a talk recently by a team of people, experts who came from Ukraine and Russia, and presumably they have inside information. The losses are being estimated, dead and wounded, both sides, between 1 million to 3 million people.
My God.
Just this little war. And it is quite obvious that what happened in Gaza Street is a diversion attack made by Russia, Iran, China, and Egypt to divert the attention of the world from the war in Ukraine and the deal of the Abrahamic peace. The Abrahamic peace was not to make peace, but to make a plain business to ship goods and oil and gas from the Far East direct to Europe via Israel, to skip the Suez Canal, to skip all the problems around the Gulf of Aqaba, and what's happening now in Yemen with the Houthim shooting at everybody there. And this is part of it. But these are the global politics, etc. Well, it's just part of the insanity of this world, which is up to power game, gaining control, and they are not interested with any. It's crazy. We're human. It's humanity. It's insane. What can we do about this? This is
Yeah.
because we don't have a spiritual government on earth to direct the affairs of humanity. They invented this sort of United Nations. They don't have a clue about anything. The Americans don't understand what's going on. Europeans don't understand what's going on. And when they will find out, it might be too late. China wants to take over the world with Iran and Russia. It's so obvious. And they started to wake up. Maybe, hopefully. They can push all of them back with one hand. The West is much, much stronger than all of them combined. But the problem of the West is they have no values. They only greed. How can I make more money and more money and more money? And these people have some agenda. Islam has an agenda, turning the world towards the law of God, as according to their understanding. China has its own religion of so-called communism, supposedly, which is to rule the world by force. Russia is the same, and we have all these groups. And this is the old dream of humans to control the world instead of serving the world. That's the fall of man. We're in the midst of the fall of man. And the political solutions are not going to solve the problem. Only spiritual solutions. And this is not happening. This has been our duty, the spiritual people, to create this spiritual government on earth, to redirect the affairs of men, tell them how to think truly, speak truly, do truly, as was taught to us 7,000 years ago, and we are not doing it. So we keep on developing unnatural, horrible sanskaras, which keep on bound the entire humanity in chains of lead, and they cannot just get out of it any longer, only by acute suffering. So the acute suffering in the world meant to break the shackles of these unnatural sanskaras. That's unfortunately what we have chosen for ourselves. That's what it is. And when I talk to Baba lovers, they don't understand these simple principles. They want to make world peace and everything be nice and cute, but it cannot be done if you don't take, I don't know. It's why it's said. But this is already all spiritual movements have looked into better understand the real cause of the problems of humanity, or very partially. But definitely they do very little in the right direction. What I kept on saying that we have to re-establish the spiritual circles, and it's not happening. And I'm visiting the sessions on the Baba Zoom, but the people get together to feel good. It's wonderful, but there's something. What is the next step? Very nice. We have a lovely community, very interesting and lovely people, very talented, and not doing the works, unfortunately. So I don't feel that this is my duty. There should be others to give some directives to this community or any other communities. It's not happening. Never mind. We should stay. I learned just to focus on Baba, When I started to do my work back in 1980, I'm getting the sense. Before that, I already knew. I think I told you in former sessions that in 73, 74, I got the powerful insights from Baba that the way to heal humanity is to form groups of spiritually minded people whose focus is the divine beloved, and they learn to work together with harmony. And this is a way to heal humanity. And when I got the center in 1980, one of the reasons I didn't want to get into the spirituality because I was alone, and I knew that I'm an ordinary human being who is prone to making mistakes, and I do work, and it will be. I make mistakes, something bad will happen. I don't know the consequences of the karma. Then I eventually started to do the first work. As I told you, Mayor Baba on War. And after I accomplished this project, which took me 2 weeks, my first translation, I was locked up in a way in my apartment, and 2 weeks I presumably didn't sleep at all, maybe, or very little. And all the time I was translating, the first time I did such a project. And at the end of it, I wrote, was written through me, more correct, the little essay, which is also on my website, on Israelis and Ishmaelis, on the Arabs, on the Israelis and the Arabs, how they were supposed to team together. And then in order to publish it, I notified the trust, I sent them letters to Jack Small. Jack Small was a secretary. We spoke in the beginning. World Parks came after him. So Jack Small, I sent him letters concerning this project. And while I'm doing the translation, I made a list of a questionnaire with 30 questions to be answered. And I sent it to the trust. And what happens that within those days, it would take between 2 to 3 months to send a letter each direction to India. And within 3 days, all 30 questions were answered. And then I got the point that Baba is in charge and I have to trust him and work with him. And he was acting as a spiritual circle towards me. And that has been my experience ever since. So we work for him and we do our best and don't need to worry about anything. So we're coming to the end.
Lovely, Etzion.
Thank you. So Betty, you're muted, you have to stop the recording, or I'll do it.
Go ahead, stop.